Hello and welcome back to another day in the free-to-play arena. It's me, it's CGB, and today is our release party for Throne of Eldraine. Yay! It actually came out a little while ago, but I had to finish 2 other videos before I could dive into it, and now that I have, we're going to be spending a lot of gold on packs. This is a free-to-play account. Yes, I've been doing my dailies for about 2 months and not spending them, and this is the horde that I have. I also have these wild cards to start out the journey. And we've got a few packs that I've let sit here unopened that we're going to crack as well. So this is going to be a celebratory crack packing video. After that video, I'm going to work on creating some new decks, upgrading some decks with Throne of Eldraine. We've been playing a mono-red burn deck for some time, but I am going to upgrade it to a newer version that I'm excited to try. And I also have a Cavalcade version that I'm running as well, so 2 different red decks that we'll upgrade with. And then we're going to work on a different deck. And I'm pretty excited to show it to you. It might take me a week or so to get the videos done, but we're going to do a deck that isn't just red, and we're going to hit the ladder and maybe play some events and do cool stuff with it. So that's exciting. But before we do that, we got to get some packs. So let's head to the store. We worked hard for this 35,000 gold, and I think that Throne of Eldraine is a great new set, and I do think when a new set comes out, this is my opinion, there are probably some people who will tell you different, because people have different opinions. I know, mind-blowing concept, but this one is mine. When a new set comes out, I like to buy into the hype. It makes me happy. I like to dive in, heart first, into a new set. I think Throne of Eldraine is an amazing set with all kinds of awesome cards. So yeah, I spend all the gold I have on release day and just rack it up. I cha-ching, cha-ching. I just buy it all. I trust that I'm going to make cool decks and get to do cool things. And it also runs up those wild cards, so we should have plenty of wild cards to build and tune some things after we do this. So yeah, whenever a new set arrives, I just hit this button till I can't anymore, and I've never had regrets. I've never had regrets. Now I've got some core set 2020 boosters sitting around I've been waiting to open. Let's start cracking some packs. It's the free-to-play account, so every time I hit a rare wild card is good. Every time I hit a standard playable card is good. Villas is a very memey fun card. I don't know if it's standard playable. But yeah, this is going to be a long pack opening video, and if you want to skip it, because that's not your thing, I get it, but if you want to see the collection come together with me, Mystic Forge is specifically for an artifact deck. That's not a great rare to hit. Come on now. Give me the Planeswalkers, give me the Mythics, give me the power. Rotting Regisaur can be very, very strong. 3 mana for a 7/6 is about as large a size as you can find for low cost in the game. The Bronto Legion's End is a very fine standard playable removal spell because it removes not just the creature you target, but all the creatures with the same name, and it can hit tokens. So if the opponent has 7 zombie tokens and you target 1, they are all gone. That's a lovely hit. Now are you ready? Throne of Eldraine. Golden Egg's a pretty nice uncommon common to hit. And Gaddock the Wizened is a mono blue type card. I don't know if I'll be playing much mono blue. It does draw a bunch of cards. So what else we got? None of these are particularly great. This can be good in green decks. Whenever it attacks or blocks, it becomes a 2/2 if you have another non-human creature. So pretty easy to do. Castle Ardenvale. So the white land that makes little 1/1 human creature tokens is very solid for your white decks. It's best if they have a way to make those creatures stronger, but it is a solid card in nearly every white deck. Again, like this, all these mix of cards are just kind of drafty fodder. I'll try to point out cards that I think are particularly good from the commons and uncommons. That is a solid rare. Ironcrag Pyromancer, whenever you draw your second card each turn, it deals 3 damage to a target. That's not going to happen on its own, but when you add cards like Radical Idea to your deck, your Izzet decks can trigger this every single turn, and that's a lot of damage. We've got a Grumgully the Generous, which can go in your Gruul deck. It's a pretty fun card. Whenever you cast a non-human, it gets a +1/+1 counter. Good with the Riot creatures. And Brazen Borrower, this is a mythic that, with Petty Theft, the adventure mode, the text in this corner here, target non-land permanent gets returned to its owner's hand. So we've played bounce spells. Callous Dismissal is in our ramp deck. But this is a lot better than the typical bounce spell, because after you play Petty Theft and bounce something of the opponent's, for 3 mana you get a 3/1 flash flyer that can only block creatures with flying. So this is a very strong card. It's mythic, which makes it very hard to craft. So opening one is pretty excellent. We've got some stuff. Mystic Sanctuary is pretty fun for a blue deck, but the rest of these are kind of okay. The Arcanist Owl can be played in an artifact deck. But Bone Crusher Giant is an excellent rare to open. This side with Stomp is 1 in red to deal 2 damage to any target, and damage can't be prevented. And the Bone Crusher is 3 mana for a 4/3. Whenever it becomes the target of a spell, it deals 2 damage to the target's controller. So a nice little 2 spells tied into 1, and don't take a picnic. You'll just get stepped on. Lucky Clover. Whenever you cast an adventure, copy it. I have a feeling we'll be using these a lot. I've had a lot of fun with adventure decks, and on a similar token, Savvy Hunter. Whenever it attacks or blocks, create a food token, sacrifice 2 foods to draw a card. I have a feeling we'll be playing some food decks as well. I would love to craft some of those, and hopefully opening this many boosters will get a good start. And a Mythic Wild Card. Yeah, baby. Not sure what it will be, but I bet we'll like it. Beanstalk Giant is a powerful adventure card that lets you search for a land, and then when you cast it for 7, has power and toughness equal to the number of lands you control. Freaking huge. Mystical Dispute costs 2 less if it targets a blue spell. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 3. And the Great Henge. Right after a Mythic Wildcard, we had another Mythic. How lucky. Great Henge. 7 green is too much, but it costs X less, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. You can tap it for 2 green and gain life, and whenever you cast a creature, it becomes bigger and you draw a card. This card is crazy awesome in a green Mon-Thurs type deck. Order of the Midnight, Venerable Knight. There's a night theme. Maybe we'll be able to make a Knight's deck at some point. Merchant of the Veil is a pretty good adventure card in certain kind of decks where we want to throw things into our graveyard. And Sundering Stroke is 7 mana to deal 7 damage among 1, 2, or 3 targets. But if 7 red mana was spent to cast it, as in all red mana, it deals 7 damage to each of them. So a total of 21 damage. That sounds pretty spicy. Order of the Midnight again, Lucky Clover again, keep those coming. And Once Upon a Time, one of the signature cards in the set. If this is the first spell you've cast this turn, you may play it for 0. So if you open the game with this, 0 mana. Look at the top 5 of your library, pick a creature or land, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom. Just a nice way to make sure you have the right land or the right creature early in the game, so that you're not playing games where you do nothing for a few turns and die. Pretty strong card, great for free to play. And you see over here we're working on another mythic rare, that's exciting. Shepherd of the Flock is another adventure card. This instant returns a permanent we control to owner's hand, which can save things from removal and recast them. Castle Locthwain is a great castle that will go in all our black decks. For 1 black, draw a card, then lose life equal to the number of cards in your hand. So, you really want to play it on empty hand, so you're only paying 1 for it, but you never know. People do crazy things. Circle of Loyalty is a mythic legendary artifact. It's good in a Knight's deck because creatures you control get +1/+1. It costs 1 less for each Knight you control. Whenever you cast a legendary spell, you get a 2/2 white Knight token with Vigilance, and for 4 mana, you get a 2/2 white Knight token with Vigilance. Also remember, as long as Circle is on the battlefield, those are actually 3/3s because creatures get a boost in addition to that. We've got the Heraldic Banner, we've got Sir Eleonora, a lot of text to say, not that good of a card. None of these are particularly strong, but here's a Lockmere Serpent, which is a wonderful Dimir card. That's a 7/7 flash for 6. You can sack an island to make it unblockable. You can sack a swamp to gain a life and draw a card. You can exile 5 cards from an opponent's graveyard to return this to your hand if this creature's in the graveyard, so it keeps coming back over and over. Puppet, Witching Well, some neat little artifact toys. And a Castle Garenbrig, when you tap 4, add 6 green. This mana can only cast creature spells or activate the abilities of creatures. So a great castle. The castles are great, you guys. Just put them in your deck of the appropriate color and be happy. Hypnotic Sprite, a Rimlock Knight is okay. Clackbridge Troll is strong. Trample Haste 8/8, so big. When it enters the battlefield, an opponent gets 3/0/1 goat tokens, but at the beginning of combat on your turn, any opponent may sacrifice a creature. If the player does, tap the troll, gain 3 life, and you draw a card. So if they're feeding goats to the troll, you are drawing cards and gaining life. When they run out of goats to feed it, they get smorked by an 8/8. So that's not bad. That is not bad. Smitten Swordmaster is a good little adventure knight that's better than it looks. And Outlaw's Merriment is a mythic that makes creatures every turn. It's red, it's white, it's determined at random, a 3/1 trample with haste, a 2/1 with lifelink and haste, or a 1/2 that deals 1 damage to any target with haste. So they all have haste. It's a party up in here, and they all get to partying quickly. Trail of Crumbs can be fun for a food deck. Let's see what else we have here. The Fervent Champion is 1 red for a first strike haste. Whenever it attacks, another target attacking knight you control gets +1/+0, requires multiple knights. And equip abilities you activate that target the champion costs 3 less. So it's good with equipment, which on its own, just having a 1/1 first strike haste can be good for our red deck. So I'm already happy to see you. Castle Vantress. There's the blue castle. 4 mana scry 2. Put it in your blue decks. GG. Opt is another nice pull. It's good to have this still in the format after we thought it rotated out. Dwarven Mine is good in the red decks sometimes. Whenever it enters the battlefield untapped, create a 1/1 red dwarf creature. It enters the battlefield untapped if you control 3 other mountains. So this is land number 4. You get a free 1/1. And Ayara, a very fun mono black card. Whenever this or another black creature enters the battlefield, the opponent loses 1 and you gain 1. Sacrifice a black creature to draw a card. 3 mana for a 2/3, but lots of fun abilities. Mirror Maid enters the battlefield as a copy of an artifact or enchantment on the battlefield. That can include your opponents, which is one of the reasons this is different and possibly different application than something like a quasi-duplicate, which also quasi-duplicate hits creatures. This does not. The Charming Prince is a white rare. When it enters the battlefield, scry 2, you gain 3 life, or exile target creature you own. Return to the battlefield under control at the beginning of the next end step. Just a fun little utility card. It can go in all kinds of white decks, which is what you want in free-to-play. Cards that fit lots of places. Ironcrag Feat is 4 mana to add 7 red. You may cast only 1 more spell this turn. It's good with that other rare we opened, but it's so hard to get the 2 of them together. I don't know if I can build around that anytime soon, and they're both rare. Improbable Alliance makes fairies whenever we draw our second card, which can be nice in those Is It decks. And Stolen by the Fae returns a creature with converted mana cost X to owner's hand, and you make fairies. So yeah, you return a 4 cost creature to their hand for 6 mana, and you make 4 fairies. It's pretty cool. Just ticking those wild cards. There's a Slaying Fire, which goes great in our red deck. It can deal 4 damage to any target if you're mono red. Ooh. And there's a rare wild card. Foxen Intruder is an adventure critter that is only played in a couple spots because it's an adventure creature. We haven't opened any Edgewall Innkeepers, but those make for a fun adventure. 2 straight of the same rare. Booyah. I wish it were a little bit of a better rare, but what can you do? Golden Egg, Glass Casket's a nice uncommon to exile target creature with convert mana cost 3 or less, and Wishclaw Talisman's a sweet rare. Not a great rare, just a sweet rare. This is kind of a tutor where you get the first tutor, then the opponent gains control of it. They get the second tutor, then you gain control of this, and then you get the third tutor. So you get to search your library for stuff. It's pretty fun, but is it great? It can definitely get you. The opponent searching their library, it's not great for you. That's another Grumgully for the red-greens. Gingerbread Cabin makes food for the green decks. And Emery Lurker the Lock is great in an artifact deck, but those are usually very rare intensive. I don't know if we'll get there with the free-to-play account. Acclaimed Contender. Yes, yes, yes. All right. This is a good knight payoff. We need a lot more knights to actually play knights. So hitting a rare knight is kind of awkward, but it's a very fun one. You get to look at the top 5 cards of your library and reveal a knight, aura, equipment, or artifact card when this enters the battlefield if you already control a different knight. Another Fervent Champion is a lovely sight, since we plan to make some red decks. Another Slaying Fire is another lovely sight. And there's the feet of the Iron Crag. 2 of those. Not the greatest. Would have preferred some Fires of Invention. Here is Yorvo, Lord of Garenbrig. This is a 3 green mana rare, and it has 4 counters on it. 4+1/+1 counters. And whenever you play another green creature, it gets bigger. If that green creature is bigger than Yorvo, it gets double bigger. This card is pretty nuts. Great for mono green, exactly. Another Mirror Maid. Doe. There is a Folio of Fancies. You have no maximum hand size. Each player draws X cards. It's kind of a meme card. If you can somehow make a ton of mana, it can be a little crazy. Hushbringer. Creatures entering the battlefield or dying don't cause abilities to trigger. It's a good hoser, but you need a very special deck built around it so that it doesn't hose you as well, since it works on both players. Another Beanstalk Giant, another Golden Egg. Inspiring Veteran is a Night Lord. That's pretty nice. And Feasting Troll King is a big food card. 7/6 for 6. Vigilant Trample. When it enters the battlefield, you get 3 foods. If you sacrifice 3 foods, you return this from the graveyard to the battlefield. So it's like you get 2 7/6 Vigilant Tramples for the price of 1 if you don't use your food for something else. Vantress Gargoyle has a ton of text to say it's 2 mana for a 5/4 flyer with a lot of problems. It can't block if you don't have more than 4 cards, more than 3 cards in your hand, 4 or more. And it can't attack unless the opponent has 7 cards in their graveyard. So, awkward. Slaying Fire again, we're filling out that deck. Mythic Wildcard, yes please. Maybe someday we'll actually use them. There's some Planeswalkers out there I got my eye on. Another Yorvo. Our green looking lovely. Fabled Passage. This is an important land. Sacrifice it to search for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield, tapped, and shuffle your library. If you control 4 or more lands, untap that land. A lot of the rare lands that we need rotated, but this is the biggest replacement. It can go in a number of decks, which is actually good for a free-to-play player. So opening and crafting Fabled Passage is a pretty good idea. There's a Charming Prince again. And how about one more? Wintermore Commander, Lockmore Dragon, and a rare wild card. Excellent. All right. We've opened all kinds of cards. We have a nice horde collection going on. Oh, I froze the game. I froze the game? Okay. So to get out of there, I had to click Get Packs. We have 15 rares and 8 mythics, so we can definitely build up some decks. And I've got my eye on a few. So that was the release party. Very brief video here today. We can go through that collection a little bit. One more look. Let's look at the cards we have from Throne of Eldraine. A few castles here and there. Very nice. In specifically, we can check out the mythic rares and the rares to see the cards that make the biggest impact. Brazen Borrower is very likely to go in so many blue decks. It's a very strong open. 2 Castle Lochthwains for the black decks. That's very nice. Helpful. A Cauldron of Eternity could be a very fun mythic. We didn't open it today, but just keep in mind that we got some cards because they added them to the pre-constructs. I didn't go over what they were or when it happened because I didn't know myself until I saw them in my collection and figured that out. But you do get some rares and mythics from the pre-cons, the decks that they give you just for having an account. So that's nice. 2 Fervent Champions will be in most of my red decks along with Bone Crusher Giant, so we'll have to upgrade with those. Once Upon a Time will go in probably all the green decks. Wicked Wolf's very strong. The Great Henge is very, very strong and will go in, I'm sure, all the green decks. And Fabled Passage will really help in my multicolor decks. I also really enjoy Lochmere Serpent. And Outlaw's Merriment, I'm not sure about, but maybe I will grow to love. Thank you for checking out my Throne of Eldraine release party. Just a pack opening today. Very simple, very straightforward. Not a lot of deep tips or insight, but something so that you guys, 1, I don't want it to clog up another video, and 2, I want those of you who are enjoying the experience of taking the free-to-play journey with me to be able to see such a big day with so many cards being revealed. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching this video. As always, I will see you in the next video.